Hey everybody, how you doing today? I've been looking forward to this conversation for quite a while now. We have Greg with us for episode number 2. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Michael.
Hey, man. So I think you and I have talked about over the last several months about the blue wave, about the Democrats winning Georgia, the 2 seats and flipping. We've talked about ad nauseum about what that means and the fact that we're going to be spending some money, and it's starting faster and bigger than I had ever anticipated. So first off, I'm sure you've already heard the $1.9 trillion is going to happen, right? That money is going to go out. It's probably going to go out in the next couple of weeks. I'm not so bothered by that one. I hope it's more targeted than it is. I think that is a good one. But right on the back of that, I just saw this morning, and it maybe came out over the weekend, the Democrats are looking to give more free money away. This time up to $3,600 to eat for each kid. Again, based on some income levels. But I don't know about you, but when I see free money, it just scares me because again, we're throwing free money into an environment where yes, you could position it as helping, but free money without discipline, without strings, without, being better tomorrow doesn't help anyone. What do you think?
Well, so my main question is, does the 3,600 count from conception or do
Yeah,
they have to be born?
I believe, yeah, exactly. Otherwise, there could be a lot of babies,
Go
here.
make some kids quick.
Yeah, go make some. That's
Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead.
The funny thing is, and there's arguments on both sides of the equation about the stimulus. So the stimulus, if you look at how it's broken down, very little of it goes to the consumer.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's all going to states, governments. Obviously we need the money for vaccines and for research and things like that.
Mhm.
So it's going into a lot of areas of the economy that aren't going to help anybody that needs the help, which is small business, restaurants, hotels, retail, movie theaters. Those people that have been put out of work, that have been hurt, people that are behind on their rent, behind on their lease payments, their mortgage payments, all those types of things. So none of that. There's no talk about, well, how are we going to shore up the mortgage industry? For all the people that couldn't make their mortgage payments and that can't climb out of this at the end of the day. So once again, the money's not going where it's needed, where it's going to make the biggest impact. Now, some of it's going to go to infrastructure, I guess, and that will stimulate a little something. But even 3,600 bucks per kid, I mean, really, for most people, because a lot of the checks are going to people that don't need it, and that aren't qualified for, well, not necessarily qualified, but just don't need it. High income earners are getting this $1,400, $3,600 checks or whatever it is.
Mhm.
That's really not going to do anything. I mean, if you got a $1,400 check, what are you going to do? You're going to go blow it? No, you're going to stick it in the bank, and you're not going to go blow it. So it's not going to stimulate anything. It's not going to do anything, and it's not enough to really help. Now, anything is better than nothing for a lot of people right now. So
Yes.
anything helps. But at the end of the day, it's not what they need. If 1,400 bucks is going to make a huge difference to the people that it will make a huge difference to, they need $10,000, not $1,400. You know what I mean? So you need to identify where's the real struggle, where's the people that really need it, and you need to take my 1,400 and put it in their pocket.
Yeah.
And your 1,400 and put it in their pocket because you're going to get a check. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Or the 36 or whatever it is. I mean, your kids are, I guess, are grown and so are mine. So we're
Yeah.
not going to qualify. But
Yeah. Yeah. This is, I, again, as an economist, this whole idea of helicopter money, remember when I was going to say Benjamin Franklin, but that's not right. Ben Bernanke, sorry, Ben Bernanke, Benjamin
yeah,
Franklin. Ben Bernanke said, we can fix the economy. We just have to, fly a helicopter and throw money out the window. Okay, well that sparks consumption, right? We're a consumer-based economy, and all that does, again, I forget who said it, but if you took all the money in the world, you gave it out equally over the course of several years, maybe a decade, it would end up in a few people's hands. We need to fix that problem, right? We need to understand that financial education is important. We need to up level the skills, right? I'm all for giving money to people that need it, but I want it to come
yeah,
with strings. Like, okay, right now you are only qualified to run a cashier at a fast food joint, and you're 28 years old or 36 or whatever it is, right? If that's all you're qualified for at this point because of life choices earlier in life, I'm not judging. It happens. But you know what? We want to help you for the next 6 months or whatever it is to feed that. But you have to take these online courses to learn coding or learn fashion, or I don't care, learn something so you're no longer a $10 an hour employee. That helps people long term, right? If you're just going to throw money at people, A, they're going to take it. Everybody takes free money. B, they're going to get addicted to it, right? One of the things I remember about the Millionaire Next Door book is when they talked about their kids, right? You and I, self-made, all of that good stuff, but our dependents, if we start gifting them money, get addicted to that. And then over time, put that in their family budget, right? The 10 grand we give every year is suddenly a part of their budget. That's not okay. So we need to up level, I don't know, the bottom rung or whatever, right? And being an adult who's only qualified that's the problem. That's what we need to fix, right? We need
So
to
there's
employees. Go ahead.
Yeah, so there's a couple of conversations about that. So I mean, you need cashiers, you need burger flippers. I mean, you need those, line level jobs. We got to have it for the society and for retail and for, hospitality. The world has to function in those capacities. So you do need those workers. So the real question is, how do you balance things? And there's talk about universal base income. There's talk about raising the minimum wage. What we're really talking about is right now, just right now, there are people desperately hurting that need the money, and they're again putting money in the pockets of the people that don't need it, big companies, banks, Wall Street. So it's not going to spur the economy. It's not going to create inflation. Like a lot of people are worried they pass this 1.9 trillion, it's going to kick us into hyper overdrive, and it's going to be bad because hyperinflation. Again, it's not going into the pockets of the people that can spend it. It's going at the asset level. So yeah, we're going to see stocks. We're going to see the banks are going to be making a killing and all that. So that's number one. They got to fix that. If you're going to spend $1 trillion or 1.9 trillion, I mean, how many businesses could be reopened tomorrow with that money that went out of business? Replace what they lost. So I mean, so anyways, there's ways that can be fixed. So then the next question is, okay, how do we fix what you're talking about? Obviously financial intelligence is one thing, and there's programs out there already that are free. So you can't force somebody, you can't force somebody to do something that they're not interested in doing or don't want to do. There's already free education. There's already free financial education. There's already free skills training. All that's out there. I mean, and I've told the story that I had an accountant that worked for me, my bookkeeper, wasn't an accountant. She was office manager, bookkeeper, worked for me for, most of my career, my companies, and ran all my stuff. And she was 2 or 3 classes away from her degree in accounting. And I said, look, I'll pay for it. Go finish your degree. You could do school, during your lunch hour, whatever. I'll pay for it. You can do it online, a couple of classes. You'll have it knocked out in a year or two.
Yeah.
She said, no, I want to go home and watch soap operas. That's what I like to do during my lunch hour. Literally, she would go home for an hour, eat lunch, and watch soap operas.
Okay.
I was going to pay for it. So there's some people that just don't want education. They don't want to do what it takes. So the real question is, how do you balance the inequality and the wealth gap? Because you need those jobs. We need those people, but they need to be able to support themselves as well. So maybe there are some ways that universal base income, kind of works, where they still have to work. You can't get it unless you're working, but we're going to guarantee you at least a living wage if you're working. But you can't sit at home and get a guaranteed base income. You can't be unemployed. You need to be actively employed, and then we're gonna stop gap that gap. So maybe that's a way to do it. As long as you're working, you get the supplement. So like the unemployment insurance is kind of a backwards kind of thing. It's kind of like, hey, when you're out of work, we're going to pay you. Whereas I would be like, I will pay you as long as you are working. You see what I'm saying? As long as you are productive. So replace the forced education with forced employment. If you want support, go work, and you'll get the extra support that you need to bring your income up to a livable wage. So that's something that nobody's really talking about.
Yeah, this is not part of the conversation. Again, I fully support in an environment where you essentially said you're non-essential and stay home. We got to pay those people. We've talked about all year, right? That's been a stance both of us have had.
Yeah, you got to take care of that.
Yeah, and that's a problem you and I haven't seen in the 30 years we've been investing, right? That's a unique problem. If you're going to be told you're non-essential, stay home, pay them. And we know the numbers. Like to your point, you've said every time you got the tax returns, just replace it, be done with it. Stop bailing out Wall Street and stop giving $15 billion here and there to people that can, oh, by the way, raise money. Totally agree.
Now there is talk. So there is a guaranteed jobs program. So just like guaranteed base income, or guaranteed wage or whatever, There's also a guaranteed jobs program. So that's a proposal from modern monetary theorists that say that the government should come in and employ everybody who's unemployed. So the
Mm,
government should just provide you with a job. Now, I don't believe in that either, because that could create unfair competition. So if the government is hiring everybody at a government wage,
mhm.
then that's going to take jobs from the private sector. Then the private sector is going to be forced to compete with the government, and then we know how government is. They're just going to put people to work that are not productive. They're just going to say, "Hey, you're employed and you're not doing anything."
Mhm.
I mean, I was in the military, and let me tell you, I saw some waste in the military. We're all sitting around waiting for something to happen.
Yeah. Go
Well,
dig a hole.
we could have
Go
been,
dig a hole. Go dig that hole.
yeah, exactly. As a government contractor afterwards and all that, it was really funny. But anyways, so like I said, I think instead of a guaranteed jobs program where the government and the states hire all these people if they're unemployed, and uh, guarantee that they're going to have work, you have to give them the incentive to go get a job and hire, let the private sector create those jobs. Government's not a job creation machine.
Mm. This is a great conversation. Again, I'm opposed to the idea of free money without some strings, whether it's a
Yeah.
job, whether it's some education. I believe if you're really going to fix the wealth gap, you need to up
Hmm.
level the bottom. That is something I fundamentally believe.
Yeah, education's important. We got to build and continue those resources, do more outreach, have better communication. But at the end of the day, it's the old, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So there's
Well,
there's
that
people that do
yeah,
not want to better themselves. They don't want the education. They don't want to advance. They're fine just getting the handout.
yeah, and again, if that is who you are, at least in my ideas, as an American, you have that right. I'm fully support that. That is a free choice, and if you choose not to do it, cool. But as a taxpayer that's paying into the kitty where the money is coming from, you would not get a check in my idea, right? If you want to go home and watch soap operas all day, you don't get the money, right? But if you're willing to go in and again, to my earlier example, up level your skill from a cashier to a coder or something else, you know what?
Yeah.
We will help you several $100s a month, $1,000, whatever. I don't figure out the program because as we spit out more valuable people or assets or consumption, everybody wins. The tax base goes up, all of that stuff. So that's how I
And we've
see it.
already seen the negative impacts, the unintended consequences, of what people thought were positive actions with welfare. I mean, that actually encourages people to not work. Right now, between welfare, Medicare, all that other stuff that you can get, when you're below the poverty level, you can actually bring in 50, 60 grand a year with all those benefits
Oh
tied in
my
if you have
God.
kids.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are out there in terms of how that disincentivizes people, to go back to work. And we saw, with the unemployment bonus, that people said, "Look, I'm not going back to work. I'm getting this $600 a week bonus. What's the
Yeah.
point? I make more being unemployed than I do at work." So, we got to be careful how we do, these programs and how it's done. But again, right now, there's people that are in dire need. This is an
Yes.
emergency. You got to put that out there.
Agreed.
But moving forward, to shrink that income gap, you got to get people productive. At the end of the day, it's all about productivity. It's all about putting people to work, creating opportunity, serving others, and obviously educating yourself. If people don't want to, at least go out and work
Yeah.
if you can.
Yeah.
Now, there are people that can't work for a lot of reasons: mental,
Yeah.
physical, emotional disabilities, those types of things. You got to take care of those people because they
Agreed.
can't take care of themselves.
Totally agree.
And I'm all about that. But if we did, the other way, we got everybody producing that can produce, and we created a equal platform for at least where they can earn that living wage and have a good income. Then you have plenty left over to support everybody else who can't.
Totally agree. Love this conversation. Thank you for topic number 2.